Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast. And yes, it's me again, RGT. And this week, I'm not only joined by, well, I'm not actually joined by a presenter, I'm joined by a few other people because this is a special show. This is our subscriber special. If you don't know what a subscriber special is, basically these guys are good enough to help us financially with the subscribers list each month. And in return, as one of those perks, we do one of these shows. And we thought, you know what? We're going to record this and we'll put it out. So then these names you hear at the end of the show each week, you'll start to know who these people are. So without further ado, let me introduce. And I will start with Mr. Firm Returns.
Hello.
We,
Do you want me to give the rundown of
yeah, well,
favorite
just
stuff?
I'll tell you what, give us, like you say, we've done your Firm Returns. Give us your favourite game, your favourite console of all time.
Yeah. I think my favorite console now is probably the Switch. It's the one I use most regularly
Mm.
at the moment. But my favorite game actually goes back a bit further, and it was one I played on the PC called Battle Brothers. It's
Mm.
by a German studio. It's a really hardcore kind of strategy game with sort of random world generation, sort of procedural generation elements to it. So you can sort of play it infinitely or whatever. And I think I've put about 200 plus hours into it. So
Oh, no,
back
right.
in
Yeah, I've
the
never
back in
heard
the
of
day.
that
So
one.
it's
That's,
brutally hard. So you want to save before every battle, one of those kind of like level ones.
oh,
But yeah,
right, yeah.
very good. Anyway, I'll pass
Nah,
the mic over.
no, that's good. That's nice to hear games that you aren't normally in, the sort of mainstream games, as people say Mario Kart and bits and pieces. That's nice to hear something where, someone's found something a bit more obscure. That's good.
It's
But
got
yeah.
that great sort of 2D art style, and there's a joke about all the characters not having any legs, because they're just like almost like little chess pieces,
Oh,
but like
brilliant.
animated cut. Yeah,
Oh, that
it's worth
sounds
having a look.
awesome.
It's good. Yeah.
Right. And then we move next to, you've probably heard us say this name a few times, and you're probably now going to meet the man and the legend. It is Fat Zangief. How are you, my man?
I'm great, Tom. How are you, mate?
Very well. Yeah, very well indeed. What's going to give us? I've got probably a funny feeling what your favourite console will be, but I don't know what your favourite game will be.
Go on, have a guess at my favourite console then.
PS3.
Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah, I got it.
Definitely
Yeah.
PS3. It's weird, really, because I haven't really got into it until recently,
Mm,
and because it came out round about when I was starting to save for a house and stuff, and that's when all the gaming sort of went out the window.
mm.
But got one later down the line, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to start picking up all these games that I've never played, and
Mm.
absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But my favourite game isn't on there, believe it
Oh,
or
wow.
not. Yeah. My favourite game's probably Candy Crush. No,
Really?
no,
I was going to say, George would be well proud of you.
no, it's a little independent game called Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely love that game. Get lost in that game. I could play it over and over again.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That game that's in my top five. I mean, it is for an open world game that nails the setting they're in. That's probably one of the best ever made. I mean, absolutely fantastic. Still looks good today. It's absolutely brilliant game.
It was
Um,
weird though, because I got it, I think it was the Christmas after release, and I played it in the new year. And I think I got probably just into chapter two, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I put it down for about 6 months,
mm,
and then I think I completed it in about 3 weeks.
yeah,
You know,
my mate done the same thing. He was his favourite game of all time is Red Dead Redemption. Obviously the first game, which is actually after this, obviously, but and he loved that, but he weren't feeling Red Dead Redemption 2. Done the same thing, put it down, then come back to it, and then that was it. He was in that world then after then. But yeah, brilliant. Right, we'll move on to George's redhead stepson, Ginge. How you doing, my man?
Oh, mate, you all right?
Yeah, very well. Now I'm going to be intrigued. I'm imagining your console's going to be a PlayStation of some
Yeah.
sort, but your game, I don't know, because this is the guy that's got 616. Am I correct in saying?
No, it's gone up now. It's gone up now. I'm on 657. I did some easy ones. I stat padded dinner. Yeah.
657 platinum trophies, which is
Yeah.
mental. So out of that lot, I have no idea what your favourite game's going to be. I'll have a guess. I'm going to go. I'm going to go
But
PS4 for your favourite console.
That is, yeah, you're correct. It was the
Yeah.
PS4.
Yeah.
For the reason that is because, to be fair, I wasn't really gaming that much. I spoke to you before NIRGT about I was a
Mm.
bit of a bad lad,
Yeah.
and my life was going a bit
Mm.
squiff.
Mm.
And I got that. It was this PS4 Slim, and I bought a 4K TV. And then I realised I'm going to have to upgrade my PS4 to a Pro.
Yeah.
So that set me back even more money. But yeah, the PS4, mate, what? I got into it late as well. I didn't get it until 2018.
Mm.
So like in the life cycle, there was already so many great games out.
Mm.
Just like, you know what I mean? Just we had to pick of the lot, really.
Yeah, that was a fantastic generation for PlayStation. Now, I mean, I bought one on release, and I remember people being disappointed with the sort of the small jump between the PS3, PS4, but they always are until
Yeah.
devs get up to speed. But then, I mean, the amount of games, physical games I've bought and I've got in my collection, so many good games on that
Mate,
generation.
it's banger after banger, isn't it?
Such a good system. And I've recently gone back and played my PS4 Pro. When I had my old shed before that was taken down, as I was building a new one, and still looks fantastic on a 4K telly. Sounds a lot of Chinook taken off, but it still looks
Oh,
good.
mate. Oh, mate, I know. To be fair, I actually I got rid of my Pro and got the standard first release PS4 because the Pro wouldn't run Modern Warfare. It just kept overeating. I was like,
Really?
and I bought so I downgraded and it worked fine.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
am mad in it.
Yeah, that's mad. But yeah,
I
brilliant.
couldn't,
All right, we'll
yeah.
move on to our last guest, and that is the one man George fan club himself. It is Carlos. How are you doing, my friend?
Very well. Thanks for having me, mate. Thanks for having me.
Good, good, good. Now, I'm going to be intrigued. I'm going to have a stab in the dark at your favourite console, but you've got quite an eclectic taste when it comes to gaming. A lot of import shooters. You've got a real nice collection. But I'm going to have a stab in the dark and say Dreamcast for you.
Close, yeah.
Oh,
I was just looking across the room at all the different consoles, and I'll probably say the Sega Saturn.
yeah, yeah.
I loved arcade games, and that had some real quality
Yeah.
series on there and everything. And it was mainly the fighting games. So I'd probably say my favourite game. The one I've gone back to the most and played across so many different systems, probably Street Fighter 2. That's probably the game that really.
That was the alphas on there. Was it the alphas they had on the
Yeah.
Saturn? Yeah, really good, lovely art style. And I mean, the Saturn was just a 2D powerhouse, really. It was just they sort of made a bit of a misstep with that 3D. Everyone wanting 3D, but as a 2D machine, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely amazing for 2D. And that's the thing. When I was reading the official Sega Saturn magazine back in the day, and they were saying, "Oh, all these games are coming out in Japan, but they're not coming out in the UK." So that's what led me down to a place called Raven Games, just in Beckenham.
Mm-hmm.
I used to buy all my Saturn imports there. They chipped my machine for me. But I mean, I've got several Sega Saturn consoles now, like Japanese models and stuff. But it was for X-Men versus Street Fighter. That was a game I had to have. I had to have it. And through playing Street Fighter 2 down this local little computer centre, the cab next to it was I think it was like a multi-slot MVS. That's when I saw Metal Slug for the first time. And that was coming out on Saturn in Japan only. So, yeah, it was a done deal. I went down there and got it done.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, I bought a couple of imports myself for Saturn. Main one I got was because I was that's my same mate who's into Red Dead. He's really into his old school Resident Evil and bits and pieces like that. So what to get Deep Fear,
Oh, yeah.
But obviously, being the last release for the PAL Saturn, even at the time when I was looking, it was £400-500, and it's gone up more than that now. So I imported the Japanese version, and it was like £24 delivered. And you know what it's like when you import a game for Japan, it's absolutely mint, spine card. They pack your sweets in, they'd written me a letter, everything, absolutely superb. And a couple of games I've imported that way, and it's a good way of doing it. I mean, some of the shooters now are expensive, but they're especially if they've only been released in Japan, they are a bit expensive. But there's such a big library in Japan to look at. I'd love to go one day and just buy a load of Sega Saturn games, because it's a proper treasure trove out there. But
I was out there 2007 for 3 weeks with the missus, and you couldn't back then. The phones didn't work. They had a totally separate network. You weren't like go to the States, you use your phone. You couldn't use your phone at all. I mean, we didn't have any Google Maps or anything. I just wandered around Akihabara, going into all these different shops. I went in Super Potato. I didn't know it was Super Potato. I just saw a game store. I bought a bag full of games in Japan, and they were, like you say, they were all mint, every single one of them. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's good. Them shops are so good, and they know how to look after their hardware and software. I mean, everything's immaculate out there, and unlike when you buy a game off eBay here and it's covered in chewing gum and it doesn't look like it did in the pictures. When you import them from Japan, you can almost guarantee it's going to be pristine condition. They always look after their stuff. But yeah, really good. But yeah, brilliant. So you've met the guys there who are on the show tonight. You'll probably hear their names again later on when I do the subs list later in the show. But this show, we basically do it as a bit of casual. This is literally us having a bit of a nerd out, a bit of a meet up. We're going to talk everything games or movies, whatever goes aflow. So just going to be a casual show. Just talk. I'll start. We'll just talk any in games. Today, you've probably seen the show. I got a new Evercade game, which I got Indie Heroes 4. I got. I've never the indie cartridges. I haven't really bought. I only bought this one. There was a game, like a platformer on there, and I looked at it and thought, God, this looks really, really good. I'll have to remember the name myself. Can't remember now. Hang on.
Is it Murtop's on that, isn't it?
Yeah, Murtop's on it. The Curse of Ilmore Bay. Looked really intriguing. Little creepy sort of platformer, and it looked such lovely. Always remind me of Amiga graphics. So for the sake of 20 quid, I thought, yep, I'm going to pick that up because that's 11 games on there. As like I said earlier on Discord, it's a bargain really for all them indie titles for 20 quid. But yeah, and then also you probably all know what I've been playing, which is Xenoblade. I'm 27 hours in now.
Have you got the scale yet?
Nope, not yet. I'm doing side missions and stuff. I think I've got one more chapter to do and then I get it. I'm still learning a lot about the game. Still don't know everything about it yet. There's so much to learn, but I'm absolutely loving it. I still a feat to have that on a cartridge like that. And I kept thinking when I bought this, surely there's going to be part of the game on the cartridge and part of the game is a download for a game that big, but there isn't. If the whole game is under 12 gigs on the card. And I find that amazing because that doesn't, I mean, the map is bigger than Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. And it doesn't load, there's no like load times between maps. You can run everywhere just freely. And that's all in time, and you just think, I don't know how they've done that, but still loving it. Still loving how big the game is, loving the exploration, loving the world, the setting. Really, really good game. I'd probably go as far to say, so far, definitely one of the best games I've played on Switch. Yeah. I just loved it. I think it's awesome. I think for how the other big two have been at the moment with releasing stuff, it's been a bit patchy and taking different courses in the market. I think this has come along at the right time for a lot of Switch owners because it's a great game to pick up. If you like open world games, you've got 100 hours plus in here to lose yourself in. Yeah, really good. And also Mrs. RGT has been playing Firewatch. I don't know if any of you guys have played Firewatch.
Started Firewatch with my daughter, but we've never got around to finishing it, even though it's only a few hours long, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you can complete this in about 4 or 5 hours. But I played it. God, I think when I looked at my save on there, I think it was about 2015, 2016. I originally played it, and I loved it so much. I was going to get the physical, but then that came out through limited run and didn't get one. And then everyone was wanting £300 a copy, so I never ended up getting a physical for it. But I was listening to a audio drama. I've said this on the show before, but for those who haven't heard, I was listening to an audio drama called Tower 4, which like the first season of that is very Firewatch. And then that suddenly come back in my mind. I thought, oh, Mrs. RGT would love that. So we put it on last weekend, and I just sat there to help her with a few of the controls. But yeah, she's loving it. She's loving it. Wandering around there, keep getting the map out and looking where she's got to go and stuff. But yeah, I definitely recommend it if anyone's got a rainy Sunday where they're stuck in the house. And yeah, because it's so good.
Yeah, those are really my type of games. Those small narrative-driven ones. like What Remains of Edith Finch and stuff like that. That was up there as one of my favourites. I nearly said that rather than Red Dead, but I think because of the amount of time I put into Red Dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, stuff like that. Absolutely love it. Do you play Strange games at all?
Sorry?
The Life is Strange games. Have you tried those?
Yes, I played the first one, and I absolutely loved that game. So I bought the little collector's edition one with the CD in and the music and the art book. I thought that was another one that was really clever, really different. Loved the story and the animation and story and sound effects all went so well in that game. You felt so part of it with Max and everything, and really loved it. I played the second one. I just couldn't get into the second one. Really struggled.
The one with the Diaz brothers. That's my favourite out of the lot. Or do you mean before the storm?
Yeah, Before the Storm was the one. I haven't played the other one yet. So the only one I've played right through is the first one, which I thought was fantastic. But
yeah, like Rage 2 with the Diaz brothers, that's probably the best one.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's an amazing story.
Right, I'll put that on download then.
I think
yes.
A quick, if your missus likes that Fireworks, is it like a walking sim, narrative, like driven type?
Yeah, slightly bit more. So it's a walk and slim, first person walk and sim, but you have a few things to do. So you can obviously look at things, pick up a bit like Edith Finch, but you also have a map, and action. So you can pull your map out, check where you're going. You have to read your map to try and find your way around to all these areas. Yeah, and it's well done. So some places you can't double back because you can't climb up. So you're investigating the map, although you're going a long way around. It's quite clever. So it's just slightly more in it than a walking sim, but yeah, very good.
I was going to say, have you any of you ever played Everybody's Gone to the Rapture?
Yes, I have played that. My missus hasn't, but I've played that. Yeah, that's.
I was going to like the fact that Geef says, like, you know, them games you don't expect them sort of to be that good.
Yeah,
and they just take you on a journey, mate. I played it during lockdown, and I don't know if that made it seem more like believable because obviously you know the story of it.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like everyone's just disappeared, and you know, like lockdown, there was no one on the streets, was there? There were all like signs up, and I was playing it like this is like bloody real life.
Yeah, I remember I'd seen sort of a bit of a YouTube thing at the time about the designers of that. As a British studio done that, and I thought, oh, this looks interesting. So when it came out, I got it and played it on my PS4. And that was in my shed one day. And that was actually, funny enough, a rainy day. I locked myself in the shed and I played it from start to finish in one day. And that's another one. That whole game is just the setting they give you. And you literally feel like everyone's gone. But the sound effects and everything work so well in that game. Even though you're just walking around, it's brilliant. But
it's just good.
Yeah, it almost feels creepy at times. Because...
Yeah, it does. It does. I was half expecting something to jump out. You know, the whole game like what's coming?
Yeah, me too.
What's happening? But it's like all just, you know, you find like bloody tissues on the table, and then like you find us half drank pints in the pub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, what's gone off here?
Yeah, and you hear a radio in the distance, and you have to use your ear. I played it with earphones on. That sounds so good. You've got to try and find where the radio's coming from, or cars with the doors left open, and. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, if you had not ever played it, mate, lads, I'd recommend it. Like I say, not very long, but it just took me on a journey.
Yeah, and that's sometimes nice as well. You know, with these games like Life is Strange and Everybody's Gone to Rapture, Edith Finch, they're that bit different. They sort of take you out of the mainstream of your genres, and you play something completely. You know, and they all are almost completely random, but they're so good fun because you come away from it thinking, "Wow, that's an experience." You know, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Anyone else had any pickups lately, or games have been playing, or?
I've just come off Outlaws after about 100 and I don't know. I mean, if that app on the phone is correct, it's getting on for 130 hours. I've been playing that game.
Oh no way! Yeah, that got you that game, didn't it?
Yeah, I think because like I say, I was mostly into arcade games back in the day, so short games, just short bursts. You know, Shinobis, Outruns, anything like that. But then I think more recently, the sort of style of game I really like is like, you know, like that. It's third person. You know, so like Mafia 3. I played that through not long ago. Thought that was a great game. I know people didn't really rate it too much, but I really enjoyed it. Like the Uncharted games, like I played all of those. The new Tomb Raider games, those ones, those three were amazing. I think that's just, I don't know, it's just the Star Wars universe in it. It's brilliant, where you're creeping around the bases and popping stormtroopers and that. I just loved it. I got so into it. I didn't even play my first game as a back till I'd pretty much finished the whole game. Like, I was getting so into just doing bits, and it was just taking all my time. Much to the missus' frustration with the bathroom that I've just been painting today. I lost it completely. I just got into that game. But yeah, I've finally taken it out and put Astrobot in, and that game is amazing. That game is something else. It's brilliant. It's the controller. The feedback.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, it's a Mario 3D game, but I mean, God, the amount of feedback you're getting, and it's brilliant. The immediacy of it is brilliant.
I've said this time and time again, for what this generation has been, and it's been a funny generation. It launched, lockdown and all the trouble with consoles and parts and bits. It's been a funny generation, but I still think the best thing about this generation is the DualSense. For the haptic feedbacks, adaptive triggers, I think are such a leap forward. Microphones, speakers in the controller. I just think it's adds so much to the game. What started off to be a bit of a gimmick with 6-axis and rumble, they've actually made into part of the game now. And it's even going back to if you played Last of Us Part 2 or 1, and your batteries are running out in your torch, and you have to hold your controller this way, and you can hear the batteries rattling in your controller as you're trying to get the last bit of charge out of them, so you can see where you're going. Little things like that all add to it. I know they've tried other things in the past, like with a Vita with a back screen and stuff, and didn't quite work out. It's a bit of a gimmick, but I think other game. I remember Xbox was saying that they were thinking about then bringing out a later controller that had haptics and that in, because they then realised how well that is implemented on some games. My worry from the start was longevity and reliability of the controllers. There's a lot of moving parts in there. I've still got my original 2 controllers from, the launch. When was that? 2020. So I'm still using them. I've got 2 extra ones I bought for the colours, but still using them. They've played hundreds of hours of FIFA and bits, and they've been, absolutely destroyed at times, but they still keep working, So I don't think the reliability is a problem, but yeah, I think they're brilliant. And like you're saying, Astrobot, when you're feeling hail on the controller and sand and wind, and it's brilliant. It's real adds to the games, I think. Anyway,
is it still just mainly Sony titles that use them?
No, Ubisoft have really took it on board. I played Avatar, which for me was a really average game, but the actual controller feedback's superb. They've really took it on board. I think once they've done one game and put the time into that one game, going forward, they know how to implement it. And quite a few of them do, and quite a few of the games like The Crew is another one. If you play what's the latest Crew one? Can't remember the score. But the triggers and that for your brake and accelerator and all your gear shifters, all the gear shifts and everything all come through the speaker and the controller. It's brilliant. It sounds so good. You can even feel a car sort of let go a bit, if you're in a rear-wheel drive car. Really good. So yeah, I think it was at the start that it was mostly the Sony games that used it. Others just sort of avoided it a bit, but more people have come on board now, and you do find quite a few games use that. I mean, like even if you play EAFC, you score a goal, and when your ball hit the net, the sound of the net come through the controller, and they even had it. You can set it so I'm not sure about the latest title, but you could set it so when your player's running out of energy, your sprint trigger's even harder to pull. And you can feel them. You can feel them. That's pushing against your finger because they're struggling to run. So there's all little bits like that people have added in, which, for me personally, I love it. I think it's brilliant.
I think it's handy as well. Sometimes you just be chatting quickly because you can use it as a mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my nephew would invite me to a party. He's only like 11, so I know it's going to be a 5-minute chat before he does my heading. But I can't. You can't be bothered to go get your headset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're like, hello.
Yeah.
It's handy, isn't it?
It's brilliant. I went to play online with a mate a couple of years ago. He then just picked up a PS5, and then he said, "We'll play online." And then went, "Oh no, I ain't got a headset." I said, "Don't worry, just set your mic on your controller." He's like, "What?" I said, "I'll come through your controller." And he was coming through clear as day on my headset, and he was just talking through the mic on the controller. I mean, it's little bits like that, brilliant. I think it makes it very usable, and also, I mean, they're no more expensive than other sort of leading brand controllers.
Mm.
So, they're a good price for what you get, the tech, really. But yeah, back to you, Carlos. I mean, did Ubisoft implement that a lot on Outlaws, the controller?
Yeah, the if you get a wanted level and the stormtroopers' voices all come through the controller, and things like that. Yeah, it's not it's not overly used, but it is good. What they've done is effective. Yeah, it is effective. Yeah,
Yeah,
very, very good.
yeah,
For
Yeah,
it.
I've just got the platinum for it as well. So you like when the blasters, Carlos, like the
Yeah,
different attachments, whatever you're using, like the one where you power it up and obviously it's like shaking and then it lets off like boof. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
The
yeah,
little
yeah.
things that, then if you got the fast one, it like goes really. Do you know what I mean? Like the fast shooting blasters, like really fast on the trigger sort of thing. So, like Carlos says, not loads, but enough just to make it that more.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Be involved.
yeah, that's good. And I liked it in like Last of Us 2 and that you can feel the bows. You could,
Yeah.
and you hear it through the controller, and you hear what if you'd call it the cord or string, whatever on the bow getting tight, and you hear it go tick 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 tick, and then you can feel it when you let it
Mm.
go. It's really good. That really really good. But I don't know if you heard the other day, Fat Zangief, I was playing Dishonored on my PS3, which I started. And I've got so used to the DualSense now. I went to take a screenshot and I put my thumb on the in the place on the PS3 controller, looking for a screenshot. And I thought, what kind of and I thought, I'm on a PS3, I can't get a screenshot. But then actually, George did message me after the show and said there was a certain amount of titles you could do a button combination and actually take a screenshot on a PS3.
I
Which
just used to use my phone on the TV.
yeah, yeah, that's what I done in the end. Paused it, zoomed my phone into the TV. But it's so weird how these things like screenshots, which I don't suppose I use that much, but they just become part of it. I'm just used to that button, and because obviously on the Switch you've even got a screenshot button as well in this, left hand side similar location. I just instantly go to press it, and I was thinking, why is that not taking a picture? Oh, select button. That's why.
If
Yes,
you guys on the PlayStations, if you get that portal thing for the PlayStation 5,
yeah,
does it feel the same as the controller then? Does it do all the same feedbacks as a controller?
Yeah.
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I've only had a go on one. I don't own one, but I know with George having his. But that's got all full haptics and adaptive triggers in and everything. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
It's
To be
literally
fair,
I think they've just
yeah,
hacked a DualSense in half and put a screen in the
yeah.
middle.
I think it's actually more comfortable than the DualSense. As mad as that sounds, like I think it's slightly thinner. You know the
Yeah,
handles,
I think
but it
George was saying
feels,
that actually.
yeah, just slightly, ever so slightly thinner, but it just feels. You know what I mean? Just that little
Yeah,
bit nicer.
I've been really tempted myself because building my new shed. I was thinking, do I get because I like to have a PS5 on my main TV, and I was thinking, do I get a secondary PS5 for the shed, or do I keep my PS5 in the shed and then maybe get a portal for at home? And I'm thinking, oh, I might get the portal, I think, instead.
Yeah, I'll just obviously I've got it. Like it's just the internet, like the connection. You just have to have
Yeah,
it. It's a tough one to sort out. George has sorted it all out, and he's like unlocked all his router and everything. It's like,
yeah, there's a bit
to
of a
be fair, you shouldn't
guide.
have to do that, should you? It should just work.
No, no. I think some regions, I don't know if that's here yet. I know in America they've done a bit of an update to the system, which made it a lot easier to connect and do. But I think for over here, I think you have to. There's a certain procedure. You have to
Yeah.
unlock your router box to accept a certain band. I think I'm not sure, but um, yeah, I'm tempted with them because they do look a nice bit of kit. I mean, for the money as well. I think they're quite affordable really for what they are.
Yeah, they're not
Um,
bad.
no, and also if you go on holiday and you've got decent internet, that's nice that you can still play your PS. Well, as long as they're digital games, obviously, or
Yeah.
make sure you leave the game you want on disc in the
Yeah,
system.
yeah.
So either that, I'll be ringing my mum up to go around and she'll be trying to put it in a toaster, I expect. But anyone else picked anything up lately, or what you've been playing? I know you've had a bit of a epic adventure, haven't you, James, on your Switch at the moment? Is it Fire Emblem you've been playing?
Oh yeah. I think I've been playing that game for like 6 months now or something. Because
But
I kind of with my gaming, I'm kind of split between um I often do it sociably. So I have some kind of like online multiplayer games I'll play. Like I've been playing a lot of one called Dead Side, which if you've ever played any of like the Operation Flashpoint games from back in the sort of hardcore shooter games where
Mm.
you die in a couple of hits and you have to like patch yourself up, all that kind of stuff. It's like an online multiplayer version of that effectively, where you can do either player versus environment servers where you can't be killed by the players and you just fight in AI and stuff and they've got missions that spawn in around the map and key points of interest and stuff, or you can do PvP servers where you then have to throw fighting other players into the mix, which obviously escalates the difficulty and so on. And if you die, if you can't get back to your body before somebody's raided it, then you lose all your stuff. So it's kind of like one of those kind of quite hardcore, harsh games. But yeah, I play that, or I was playing other ones I've played. I did quite a stint on the Switch, so we played through Broforce. That was a good fun on the Switch.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Broforce.
It wasn't particularly great doing it online multiplayer because it's one of those ones where it kind of streams off one person's Switch. And so one person, everything's great, and the other one, like assets don't like pop in right. And so sometimes there'll be like a enemies on this screen that are actually visible to the person who's hosting it, but not visible to the person who's like the session. So you're just going around going, where are all these bullets coming from? I can't see.
No.
There's things like that to deal with. So we did have to deal with quite a lot of bugs, but some of them work in your favor because sometimes you can sort of beat the bosses by catching a glitch in the game and like use that to your advantage to find some corner where they can't get you or something. But yeah, we did that one, and then we were playing Aliens Fireteam Elite was another good one for online sort of co-op session with a couple of guys and stuff. But yeah, I do those ones, and then in between that, then I then have limited time to just play a solo game. So that's why it's taken me so long. I think I'm about 65 hours in now. It normally ends up whenever I'm traveling. That's why I like having the Switch in particular, because you can just take it on the train or whatever you, which is actually that's probably something else to touch on. I guess that's something that will be covered in the Nintendo Direct episode. But something a big standout for me from that actually was the virtual, how they're switching for digital games to the virtual game card, which means that we don't, because I've got a Switch Lite as my, which I got one of the nice gold ones, the limited edition ones like you've got. Actually, that same Zelda special edition one, and because that's now my secondary Switch, you can't play any digital games on it when you're away from Wi-Fi. So it just means that you can only have physical games with it, and so that's a real limitation if you travel on a train or something. So you can't play any of your digital games. So the fact that they're now switching to a virtual game card system where you'll be able to like lock a game to a certain device between two different switches, and then also a bit of like a lending system as well. So you can, if you're physically near someone, you can lend a game for 2 weeks to them and so on. So it's definitely.
I'm so glad they've done that because that weren't long ago. We were talking about this, weren't we? And my wife got me that gold Switch Lite for Christmas, and I thought this is going to be ideal because I've got my OLED, but it's a bigger case, and I'm always a bit worried about taking it with me. But I've got this smaller Switch, the Switch Lite. It's more compact. It's there. It's a real good screen. I thought it'd be ideal, and then I suddenly thought, oh, hang on, if that's my secondary Switch, that means I can only play physical away from Wi-Fi. And I suddenly thought, oh no, that's going to be a pain. So when they come up with this new card system, I thought, brilliant. Yeah, that's going to be ideal. That's going to be brilliant.
I think there's definitely a place for the Switch Lite for handheld. I do definitely prefer it, and I know the screen is not an OLED, so you've got that disadvantage. But there's something about having the solid unit and it's lighter. And not having the flimsy sort of like controllers that feel like they're going to fall off. I've sort of got to the point where I'm using my main sort of Switch OLED just in the dock connected to the TV, and then using whenever I want to do handheld, it's always the light.
I'm exactly the same, and also I always feel like when I take my OLED, I'm taking three things. I'm not taking one because, like you say, the Joy-Cons. But with the Switch Lite's form factor, and like I say, it isn't an OLED screen, but it's actually still a lot better than the standard Switch. It still looks really good, that's ideal. Just that form factor is brilliant. I mean, my wife plays. She's got a Switch Lite, and she plays hundreds of hours on her. She loves it just for how small it is, and she just take it wherever she goes. You know, it's brilliant. But yeah, I'm so glad they've done that. There was a while there I think they were never going to do it, but suddenly just to chuck it in that direct, I thought,
Chuck it in at the end. just
yeah, I
before.
was just like, what? We can do this now? Why are you doing this now? So that tells me something leading up to the Switch 2. There's a reason they're implementing that now, I think, at the end of the life cycle of the Switch. But yeah. Fat saying Geef, what's your last game you playing on your PS3 then? You can see some part of your collection behind there, your awesome PS3 collection, that's building rather well.
Yeah, it's sort of 2/3 PS3, 1/3 PS4.
Mm-hmm.
But one that I picked up a couple of weeks ago was that Enslaved.
Yeah, brilliant game.
And I started it, and it's beautiful. The colours, it's normally you get PS3 is a lot of browns.
Yeah, yeah.
The one thing that bothers me is it runs like gash.
That's because of that's adding them colours in and all. Sometimes it really stutters, doesn't it? If you get a lot of real big busy like action bit, it's
like a flip book, know. And but the actual gameplay is amazing. Sort of mixing in the hack and slash type of elements with the Uncharted style traversal. It's great. The fact Andy Serkis is in it. The voice acting's amazing. But it was just getting so difficult. As soon as there was more than 2 or 3 enemies on screen, it really chugged.
Yeah.
It was. I've put about 3 hours into it. I don't know if I'll carry on. It was getting on my nerves that much. But
I think the bit I really struggled with, when you're on that, you're sort of on that airship sort of thing, aren't you? Is that near the start? And you had to
crash, and you got to jump one to the other and all that.
Yeah, as the explosion started, mine really chugged. So it's good. And I was thinking, I'm struggling to keep up with. It's nice they tried it, but it is struggling there. It was a bit going through treacle playing that, but yeah.
Does the disc also work on the PS4? Could you get a bit of extra juice out of it if you did that?
No, you can't. You can't play your PS3 on PS4, unfortunately.
That's a bit useless.
Yeah, they didn't do the backs, but I think it's just because the PS3 was such a hard system.
In it.
Yeah, it was a really difficult one for developers to code for. It's a very unique sort of system, and even now, if you play a PS3 game on your PlayStation Premium, you only stream it at the moment because they still haven't even worked out a way of emulating it.
You're just connecting to a remote PS3, basically, aren't you?
Yeah, because that's so difficult. They haven't even worked out a way of. Well, I say they haven't. Rumors are they have at the moment, and there's going to be PS3 games added to the the premium collection on PS5, which I hope they do. It's just something. I mean, the streaming's okay, but it's not the same when you're playing it on a cloud and what it is when you got either downloaded or got the disc in the system. But I'd love them to put the PS3 in that premium package or the extras package. That'd be a brilliant way to play it. But is there any other PS3 games you've been playing lately, or any recommendations?
Not ones I've been playing, but it's a couple of pickups I've been after for ages, and I've actually dipped into some of my CX credit to get them, and it's that one.
Oh yeah, God, I bet that's going up in price now, isn't it? Lollipop Chainsaw.
It's about £50, I think. That one, and DuckTales Remastered.
Oh, another one that people are after. That.
Yeah, I just saw them. They were in my local CX, both at the same time. I thought, right, forget it. I could see what condition they're in. I'm getting them.
Yeah, and you probably aren't going to see them in there for a very long while, if at all. So yeah, grab them while you can, sort of thing. I know that spiked as well, that Lollipop Chainsaw, when they done the remaster, didn't they? And
it dropped down a little bit. I think it got up to about £55 and then dropped back down to about 48. But even so, I thought it's not going to get any cheaper. So
you say about CEX, are you guys saying you can now order your games? Who's the not Deliveroo? Who's the other one who do the food? Yeah, yeah. You can order your CEX games through Just Eat now. Yeah. You can literally order anything from CEX and they'll deliver it to you within 30 minutes. Obviously within certain regions, but they're implementing it through the cities in the country. So if you desperately need that DuckTales, Simon, or another game, just look on your local CEX and you have someone go around the bike and deliver it to you. I know it's mad, but a lot of people have been all for it because obviously they do like phone cables and phones and laptops and bits, and they said it could be quite essential if you need something pretty quick or at work and you need a laptop
You could
charger.
text your driver and ask if it's got a manual.
Yeah, yeah,
Take it back, otherwise.
yeah, exactly.
Or a reprinted cover.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, don't give them a tip if it's got a reprinted cover. But yeah, brilliant. I saw that story and thought, that's mad, isn't it? World we live in now, you can actually order a second-hand game and get it delivered to your door within 30 minutes. That's
Oh,
crazy.
mate. I recently, looking through some DVDs, my lad once watched Ghostbusters 2. I got that from CX, and it had like, wow, what's that space film with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
Yeah,
Interstellar.
yeah, it had
Yeah.
Interstellar in it. I was like,
What?
yeah.
That's
And then
mad.
another one, this was years ago, it was Shadow of War, the Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
I bought that just for the collection because I played it on like the past thing years ago. But it was a free game. And it had the other one, Shadow of
Mordor.
Mordor. Yeah.
Mm.
I was like, oh, brilliant.
Yeah,
I
that's
should have checked. But when you just get home and you just like chuck it in the cupboard onto the shelf, whatever. And I was like, oh, for God's sake.
yeah, I know. Sometimes there was, I think it was the one last time I was in Norwich. I think it was the Norwich one. It might be Manchester. I can't remember. Anyway, I bought a load of games. There's one game that I'd saw it and thought, oh, I've been after this for ages. Went up to the counter. They were gone for ages. Come back, went, oh, can't find the disc for that one. And I was like, oh, of all the ones you can't find the disc for. So what I really wanted, I know these things happen, but it is frustrating, and especially if you get a different disc in the case.
I ordered God of War Ascension. Can you remember there was like a collector's edition with it, and they had like Kratos on a rock? I ordered that during lockdown, and they sent me just the Ascension game. I was like, for God's sake! So obviously, they look like you're lying, though, doesn't it? Like
Yeah,
you're just taking the game back, like, oh, they didn't send me the thing. Luckily, the guy who worked there was Sam. Do you know what I mean? Like I used
yeah.
to speak to him all the time. And he was like, oh, but he wouldn't let me take it back in the shop because it was lockdown. He's like, you're going to have to send it back. And for God's sake, you know what I mean?
Oh
So I had to mess
no.
around sending that off in the post and then waiting for the other one to come. Bloody Lord.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? And that's, I mean, you get a lot of YouTubers do the CEX roulette because they'll order a game because obviously you get your generic photos of the games. So especially your rarer titles or your more collectible retro, they order them and then open them up on camera and literally see what you do get. Because, yeah, I mean, I know a lot of them now, they've started adding in with manual, without manual, but other than that, yeah, but then sometimes they turn up and you think, that disc ain't mint. That looks just been kicked around someone's driveway for half an hour. So yes,
I can never understand it.
yeah,
How discs get scratched, because I don't think I've ever scratched a disc of any game I've ever owned.
I think people use the coasters. I think a lot of people, obviously, we're all like gamers, as in we care for our like hardware and software and all that, and like a lot of people don't do that. They just want to play something for 5 minutes and they just chuck it on the side. I've been around some mates' house and I'm like, what are you doing? You go in you open a case and it's a completely different game and you have to backtrack 8 games to find the game you want. You're like, why have you got this and this and this and you know what I mean? It's just never ending. You're like, now you don't know where anything is.
Yeah, I had a mate years ago. He said, I don't know if you can fix my PS3. It won't read discs anymore. It just keep making a funny noise. I was like, oh, okay. I said, I'll have a look. I said, I'm no tech guy, but I'll have a look. And I sort of got a torch and looked in. It was a slim model. So, I just looked in the little area there and I thought, that looks absolutely loaded in there. So because it's one of the first discs they'd put in was scratched, they just kept putting discs in.
Oh, no.
And I was like, yeah, but you have to take the other disc out. So I took 7 discs out and I managed to get tweezers in. I got one, which then they were like sprung loaded in there. And I managed to get one out and that sort of freed up. And then once I got to about 3 and 4, I loosened them up and I got them all out and then ejected the last one. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't think of ejecting the first one. I was like, yeah, don't keep putting them in.
It's like one of those CD players that used to have the turntable that rotates.
Yeah.
To put the different discs in, seen
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, it was literally it. And I mean, I was just like, right, just put one disc in at a time. But yeah, I said, you must have forced the last 3 or 4 in. He said, yeah, it was a bit tight. I was like, well, yeah, it would have been.
God, Jesus.
Yeah, you got 4 other games in there, mate. But yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? But I think I bought a game really cheap. That was the GameCube. I think it was the Twilight Princess and Ocarina of Time double pack. And both of those discs honestly looked like someone had used the sanding disc on them. And I was thinking, how do they get to that state? I mean, I got it for like £2 because they said they didn't play, but I just done the old trick. I got toothpaste and water, kept going round as a light abrasive, and I buffed it all back up. They're still scratched, but they play. They both play. So
Is that the technique?
yeah, because obviously you can get discs wet. Don't obviously put them in your machine wet, but yeah, you can get them wet. So toothpaste is a light abrasive. You can literally use it as you would polishing your car. Just
What do
your
you use it
fingertip.
to actually rub it? Just your finger? Yeah.
Yeah, just go around it with your finger, rinse it off, get a clean cloth and buff it up, and that will take it down a little bit. And I have used, if you get a very light Canuba wax that you'd use on your car, I've done that before and brought discs up lovely. As long as it's a really light cutting compound, you can bring them up. As long as they're not like scratched the surface, they're just you know light scratches. You can really bring them up. I've done loads of discs that friends have said, "Oh, this won't play because my daughter's been kicking it around the living room floor." And I've buffed it all up and put it in, and that's worked straight away. So there's little tips there. I mean, you can. I mean, a lot of these game stores have these discs, disc machines where they polish them, disc polishers. I
Yeah,
mean, they're a lot of
my
money.
mate's got one.
Uh,
I don't know if you follow. Every bit gaming.
yeah,
RGT. Don't know if
I have
you
heard it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so he lives near me. He's my mate. He always drops him off. But if I ever get any discs, I'll just take him to him because he's got a machine. Because he sells, you know what I mean? He's got his own little business.
Yeah.
Might be good for you, Carlos. He's got a lot of Japanese imports, loads, mate. It might be worth looking into.
Mm.
You know what I mean? He's got his own little website. He's got loads, mate. Because I'm not really into the Japanese side, but anyone is. He's got loads of them, mate. When they go around his ass, just shelves full of Japanese games.
Brilliant, yeah. So that's obviously ideal for him to have a resurfacer then and resurface them discs, and yeah, they're good. I know some people don't like them, but they do the trick.
Oh, yeah.
You might as well if
Yeah,
the disc isn't playing or it's scratched.
Yeah,
It's a
worth a
great
try,
way of
innit?
bringing it. Yeah, I know you can only do it a certain amount of times before you take that layer completely off, but yeah, if it brings your disc back and that game works again, ideal, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
like I say, for a small business, yeah, spot on, really. But
Yeah, I think he's got a couple of them actually. But yeah, really nice lad. He does little bits and bobs, tries to repair consoles, and stuff. Lovely bloke. What was I going to say? I actually got a press release copy of Crash Bandicoot 1 from him.
oh no way!
I know. He was like, oh, you might. Cause I forgot to say that Crash Bandicoot 1's my favourite game of all time.
Oh, because
And he was like, oh, I've got some you might like here. So obviously, I don't know. I said, hey, you got your hands on that? He's like, I don't know. Just buy job lots, you know what I mean? It was in there.
amazing, isn't it? I
Gaming
bought
history,
a
innit?
couple of the PS4 press release ones. I think I've got a couple of the Uncharted ones, and I've got I can't remember. I think I got 3 of them press release, just discs only. There was a while you could pick them up quite cheap, where obviously the press guys were getting their packs, and once the game died off a bit, they were flogging the packs off, but they were splitting them up. And I got a couple like that, but obviously not an earlier one like that. That's proper
Yeah,
rare, I would
just a
imagine.
black disc. It's just black disc. It says Crash Bandicoot, like press release, not for general resale. Do you know what I mean? Played exactly the same. I was trying to put them aside, like play them at the same time to try and see the differences. But there's not many really. I think it's like you think if you press triangle, it brings down like how many boxes you've got or whatever. I don't think it does that on the press release one.
Ah, right. So there was probably sort of bugs they fixed after, but also things
Yeah,
they
all
added
little
in
things
as
they
well.
added in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I can't remember either. I don't know, even though it's my favorite game, I can't remember. But obviously, you get the gems and you get all the boxes. And I always thought it's just if you get the boxes, it doesn't matter if you die. I don't know if it's on the press release or just all of them. If you die but get all the boxes, you don't get the gem. I'm gonna have to look into it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because I always thought you just as long as you get the boxes. I know there's a couple of levels that you have to do certain things to get the coloured gems, but I couldn't remember. I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, have a look. That's worth it. So it might be a little thing, like you say. It might be a completely unique version of that game.
Yeah, it made it even harder. You know what I mean? Because obviously getting all the boxes can be tricky, especially then if you have to do it without dying. I can't remember if it was that's just the way the original was, or if it was that press release one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's true. I was going to say, do you, Carlos, with all your sort of Japanese games imports, do you ever struggle with sort of the languages on there? Do you have many games with the sort of the text boxes, or do you get like? I know you've got a few modded consoles for. Do you get like sort of fan translations or anything like that, and or had you had to use those or?
Yeah, the fan translation thing with one of the things I've got is a Mister system, which is probably the best retro thing I've ever bought. To be honest with you,
Yeah, I've been tempted with a Mister. Yeah.
Oh, they're so good. I think there's a new one now. It's called Mr. Pie. My brother ordered one. I don't know why it's called Pie. It's very confusing. It's got nothing to do with pies, but yeah, it can run everything up to PS1 at the moment, and Saturn as well. It runs N64, all the old 8-bit stuff, all the microcomputers, everything. So you can do fan translations on that. But yeah, back in the day, it was a lot more difficult, obviously, because you couldn't. I can just put my phone at something now if I don't understand what it is. I remember getting a game called Silhouette Mirage by Treasure. Got to a point I was like, I have no idea how to get off this screen now. I was completely stuck. I had no idea what to do. And I'm sussing it out. You know, it was back in the day. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have, anything, and Google Translate, nothing. So yeah, but generally, I was buying a lot of arcade conversions. So it didn't really matter.
And some of them as long as you can work your way to options. They did have sort of English options on. You could change over, didn't they, on some of them? And I found that with Deep Fear, because obviously the text is in Japanese, but the actual speaking on there is in English. But you just get to that point where you go up to a button and you're thinking, well, I'm not sure what it is to press it on or press off, and I'm going to press the wrong thing here. So got a bit stuck with that. But I kept humming and hawing whether to. I'm sure I saw online someone had done a repro of it, not a translated repro, and also done the PAL versions as well. So I was a little bit tempted to get one of those, because I bought Snatcher from a Mega CD from a guy that does repros, and they're like, all his repros are like £16, but it comes in a double jewel case. You get the manual, full color manual, and to the untrained eye, you'd be, to us, we'd know. Obviously, the colours are slightly washed on the disc and bits and pieces, but the untrained eye, that's Snatcher on a Mega CD. Do you know what I mean? But it's 16 quid, not 1,000. So that was just an affordable way of getting, just wanting to play Snatcher, really. But yeah, so I've been a bit tempted with that for Deep Fear, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously, I suppose you've got quite a big shooter collection, have you, for your Saturn and whatnot? You have a console?
Oh yeah, I've got loads of shooters across the Saturn, Dreamcast. I've got quite a few on Switch now, to be fair. Xbox
your Switch is good for shooters, yeah.
Yeah, Xbox 360 was really good for shooters as well.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
All the cave games and that, yeah.
Yeah, I got.
There's one I want to get. I think it came out on PS4. It's called what's it called now? Ketsui, I think it's called. Yeah, I really want to get that. I was looking at it on PlayStation 4, but you can put the PlayStation 4 disc straight into the PS5, can't you?
Yeah. There's only a handful of games that struggle or won't play. One of them, funny enough, being Mafia 3, you can play it, but it really glitches the graphics for some reason. I don't know why, or whether they've ever optimized that for the disc, but I mean, pretty much most stuff, 99% of stuff plays fine. You just pop the disc in, and it's probably the best way to play it at the moment, really. With that little bit
you're talking about Mega CD there, reminded me. I got a Mega CD from Mega Drive off a bloke at work. It was in his van in a plastic bag, and he said, "I've got something in the van. You can have a look at it." So I took it home, cleaned it all up, and I didn't actually realise they're worth quite a decent, a bit of money.
Yeah,
and I just took him the next day I took him like 50 quid, I think it was, or 40 quid. He was going on holiday. I said, "Oh, do you want to take 40 quid? Get yourself a meal?" Or it might have been 50, I can't remember. And he was like, "Yeah, cheers, mate." And then, like, when I actually looked into it, to buy a Mega CD these days is, I don't know, maybe £150.
Yeah, at least I'd say nowadays.
It's the games. The games are all too expensive. And I thought, well, I don't really know why I've got this now. I've got an import adapter thing for it, because I really, really wanted to play that Final Fight remake they'd done on the Mega CD with all the different music and that.
Yeah.
So I got that Japanese and used this adapter in it, and it worked. And because my Mega Drive was, I've altered it so you can switch between the languages and the 50 hertz and all that.
Oh yeah.
You start it off in whatever language the Mega CD has to be. I say it must be English, 50 hertz. Start everything and then switch it over, and obviously then you've got full screen display, full speed, and everything
Mm,
with this adapter cartridge that you put in the Mega Drive.
brilliant.
Um,
Oh, that sounds
but
awesome.
to be honest with you, it's sitting down there. It's not even connected anymore. I'm thinking about chopping it in. To be honest with you,
That is the only thing. I mean, I might have said this on a show a couple of years ago, but I had a friend up to about 6 years ago. He was mad on Mega CD. It was from a kid. It was his console, always was his console, and he had the full collection sealed of Mega CD games. He
My
had
God.
wow.
yeah, and yeah, wanting to go on a bit of a jaunt, on a bit of a holiday with his mates, so he traded them all in. And it's his biggest regret. He's been trying to build it back up. I mean, he even had like the Batman and Robin special big box edition. He had everything all sealed, the whole lot. Yeah,
But it's cost him a lot more to build it back up.
I think he's given up now. I
Do
think
it,
he's
yeah.
given up. It's just an impossible task because some of the games, like you say, your snatches and bits are, £1,000. It's a pricey thing. But yeah, he was mad on his Mega CD. I mean, I was lucky when I've been collecting so long, show me age, but been collecting so long. I mean, I bought Mega CD and Mega Drive together for I think 30 quid, and I bought a Mega Drive Mega CD2 for like 25 quid, and then had them both recapped and done a few years ago. And I done it with most of my consoles. I always bought one or two spares, and it sounded a bit much at the time. You think, God, what do you want on them consoles? Now with the prices of them going up, I'm so glad I did. For the sake of spending 30 quid on an extra console and 50 quid to get it recapped. I mean, you got a machine now that'll last, that'll outlast me with those caps, and I haven't got to go out and pay 150, £200 for a new system. So, yeah, things are getting pricey. I find that even with like GameCube games now. I mean, so expensive, aren't they? And they go in these waves where suddenly everyone wants that system. And
Well, in the
yes,
world of the limited runs and stuff like that, of my first experience, I bought Iron Meat a pre-order, and it wasn't it. I didn't have a major sense of urgency in buying it either. I think it had already been announced for a few months that it was gonna go on sale, and I think I bought it like a week after the pre-sale started, and it was just like 30 quid. And now that game is like, I don't know, 6 months later, it's now 150 quid. It's just
yeah,
ridiculous.
that's mad. The only time I got my fingers burnt with not so much limited run themselves, I don't think it was their fault. I pre-ordered about a year in advance Street Rage 4. Because as far as we knew, this was the only physical edition you could get of it. And obviously, I've got 1, 2, and 3 on my Mega Drive. So I was like, yeah, I've got to get the physical of that. So pre-ordered that with limited run, waited God knows how long for it to come through. Um,
They did
but
a wider
before
release, did they?
they did a wider release and released them all before the limited run come out.
Oh, brutal.
And released them at like £30. I'd paid 45 for this limited run version, which is now probably worth about a tenner, because there was physical copies with two other publishers. And I was like, oh, you're joking. Not saying that's necessarily a limited run problem, but
It's the
obviously,
publisher, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man. So all my mates had physical copies that had literally just gone out and bought for 30 quid. And I'm still waiting for my £45 one 3 months later, it was crazy. So got my fingers burnt a bit with that. But yeah, I've bought two or three limited runs in the past. I think I've got Shadow Complex as one of them. PS4, great game. If not, I think I had that as a hidden gem. That's a great game. If no one's played that, that's brilliant. I think that's on the store. Might even be on premium on PlayStation. But yeah, you'd have to have a
That been
look.
on that was on 360 as well, wasn't it? Shadow
It,
Complex, like a two D.
yeah, it's like a 2.5D side-scrolling
Yeah,
shooter. Yeah, that's
yeah.
It was originally on 360.
Mm.
Then limited run done a version for the PS4, which is what I got. And then after that, I think they ported it so well, they then popped it onto the store on there, and I'm sure it's still on there. But that's a great little game. That is all that Xbox Arcade days and Xbox Live, and that you used to get some great little games on there, which sadly are no more. But if they didn't have a physical, but yeah, there's some great games on there. But yeah,
It seems like strictly limited and super rare are a bit more dependable with the timings because like you pre-order
Mm.
it and when they go on sale, it's then like in a couple of months from then, definitely it's going to be sent out.
Yeah.
I've not had to like the situation where some people have had a limited run, haven't they? Where it's like you're a year later or something, you're still waiting for for it to be sent out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think
sometimes.
I must have been a good year for Streets of Rage 4. But some of the YouTubers I watch, like Happy Console Gamer, and he buys quite a lot of limited run stuff, and sometimes it turns up and he's even forgot he'd ordered it. He had to look back through his history and emails, like, oh, I did order this because it was like 18 months ago for this special edition, whatever. So, yeah, it can be quite a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, I suppose people who use limited run are used to that, I suppose. But,
It's a bit more like Kickstarter or something, isn't it? The way that works, the long lead time like that.
I suppose they put the orders out for us. They get the orders in before they've even actually produced the game and got it over. They get the money in first and then develop, or convert the game and then merch and whatever bits and pieces you get with it. But because of that, you're obviously waiting on production times. But yeah,
it does my head in. Not necessarily with like limited run and stuff, because obviously they're like the only ones doing it. So you either go with them or you don't get a physical copy. But when like it's a wide release physical copy. But they release like the digital version like 3 months before. But like someone who likes physical copies, I'm like, well, I want the copy, but I want to play it now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I've got to either buy it and then buy it the game again, or wait.
Yeah,
what I mean? So, God's sake.
Yeah, it's annoying, but I mean, there's certain games now which I do. If it's a game I want to play but I'm not desperate for. There's always a good bit of advice I saw. I think it was old Radical Reggie on YouTube, and he always done it. He said, if there's a game you want to play and you know it's going to be popular, but you're not in no rush to play it, if you've got a bit of a backlog, wait a year, because then you can get the definitive edition for about half the price and you'll get all the deals. And that's what I done with The Witcher and games like that. I think,
or get a reprint that's actually got all the patches, because they never run perfectly these days, do they?
No, that's right. Yeah, and then you're getting the premium edition of it and all the DLC in it. I think I paid like Witcher 3. I bought brand new from the PS5. The full shebang. If it was about £12, I paid for that for a brand new physical copy. And you just think, that's the way. As long as you don't mind waiting a bit to play in it.
Yeah, I always wait now, unless it's like God of War Ragnarok. I think that's the last game I bought on release day, or it might have been Astro Boy actually. Astro Boy I had ordered. Other than that, I just wait like say 6 months, a year.
Yeah,
get them on sale, or as well. When I was a kid, I don't know why I never bought like secondhand games. Like I don't know why.
Yeah,
but now I'm not bothered. Like if it's gonna get, I mean, as long as the case is all right, it's not absolutely smashed to bits.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, £3.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've found as well this generation I've ordered most of my games I ordered or bought brand new have been on my Switch. My PS5, my collection's nowhere near as big as it was on the PS4 this generation around. PS4, I was pre-ordering brand new games all over the place. And I was constantly getting new games all the time. PS5, I found it very dry this term round with it's really strange. I mean, I was looking back I went up my lockup when my stuff's stored, and I was looking the other day at all my PS4 stuff from like R-Type Final 2 and all games like that, all real obscure, Velocity 2X. All these games are pre-ordered, brilliant games. I just think I hadn't really sort of seen that on the PS5. I know there is a lot of smaller devs making games for PS5. You just don't see them. You don't as much as they're really pushed on the PS4. It's a bit of a shame, really. But yeah, this time round, it's really been a lot more quiet. I tend to just wait now.
I think a lot of them independent, like them indie developers, have got like digital only as well, aren't they? To save on the cost of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't see the physical editions in the shops. Do you know what I mean? Just by chance, like, well, what's that?
Yeah, it might be a year or so later you get like a physical release if the game did well enough initially.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Obviously, you've seen all them games. You've got physical copies, or they've been. You know what I mean? They've popped up. Unless you miss that what's hot this week or whatever, on the PS5.
Yeah.
Then it's just gone, innit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
See a video of it or something.
Yeah, that's true. You just don't. There don't seem to be in the media. I remember with the PS4, I was constantly getting emails and just seeing all these really smaller dev teams making these physical games. It used to be about all over the place, but you just don't tend to see it now. I mean, if you can look through Amazon, they do stock a lot of these smaller PS5 titles, but there isn't the fanfare around them, because half of them you just buy them blind. You just don't know unless you've really researched. You don't know. Whereas in the PS4 days, you knew what was coming along. It seems that was better pushed then. I don't know. Maybe it's just a lot of it's all digital store now, I suppose. But most people just look for their games on there and look at reviews, I suppose. But
like I say, a lot of people now like coming with a PS5, like younger kids and stuff. They're probably not bothered about the discs. Do you know what I mean? They never grew up with
no,
collecting. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all had to buy physical games as kids.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There was no other option.
Yeah.
So for all of us, well, me anyway, I love having the game. Feel like even though now, obviously, most of the games are too big to fit on the disc. A lot of them. So technically, I suppose you don't really own them, because if they shut the server down to download it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always say that to my missus. I'm like, I've got all these games, but one day they might have shut the server off and none of them will work.
Well, I think there's something about that is also about the quality of it, because sometimes they'll cut corners like with the Switch ones, because you can buy like cheaper carts, can't they? That sometimes the developers or the publishers will use cheaper ones that can't handle a 30 gig game. But I think in reality, the Switch cart could handle most of the large, size games. If you bought potentially the card itself might have cost 20 quid then, so they're getting lower margins on it and things. So
oh, do you mind? Are PS5 still Blu-ray, or do they upgrade them?
I think they're still Blu-ray.
Because obviously you've got like Ultra 4K now, haven't you? I don't know if that's a different disc to Blu-ray. Do you know what I mean? Because when you went from like normal CD to Blu-ray, the data they could store on was massive jump on it.
Yeah, and I
don't know if they've gone up again. I don't know.
I know they've literally just done. Simon will probably know this as well. They've just done an update on the PS3 the last couple of weeks, and that's mad. And if you
choked on my coffee, turned it on.
I did. I went to play Dishonored, and I said, "Oh, we got a new update." Sorry, this console came out 20 years ago. What are you on about? But yeah, apparently that's to do with the Blu-ray drives, because obviously Sony are a leading shareholder in the Blu-ray tech. That's what they pushed. Yeah. And even though it's a very small margin now, they're still worried that people might find a loophole around and pirating Blu-ray DVDs and maybe using the PS3. So they've patched it on the PS3 to make sure that you can't. Which is mad to think that people have been sitting at Sony headquarters making a patch for a 20-year-old console. It's mad. It's even mad to think that it's 20 years old. It's crazy, isn't it, to think the PS3 is 20 years old?
It still runs fantastic unless you're playing Enslaved. But
yeah, like you're playing it in slow-mo.
See that Zangief, I spoke about it years ago in the Discord. I was playing Dead Space on the PS3. I picked it up and thought, I love this. I had it on 360 originally. And I was like, this looks amazing still. You know what I mean? It plays well and it looks great. And then I only needed one more trophy for the platinum, and I still ain't got it to this day, right? Because I was moving house and stuff, and I never got around to finishing it. It was just doing the game on hard, the hardest difficulty. And then the Dead Space remake came out. So I played that, amazing. And I thought, I know the game now again. I'll go back and finish that Dead Space on PS3. And Jesus Christ, it was that awful. You know what I mean? I was like, this looks horrendous. And it played so bad. But, before playing that Dead Space remake and playing it on the PS3, I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. It still holds up really well. But, just the remake, I don't know if anyone played it, and you go back to the original, it's like worlds apart.
Because the thing is, when you play these remakes, you think, this looks no different from the original. But that's how you remember it. But when you go back and play it, you think, they have done quite a lot of work to this. That is a literal remake.
Like I say, when I played the Dead Space, the original, I was like, the lighting still looks great. The sound's great. You know what I mean? It looks good. The armor, like the light shining off the armor. I was like, this still looks good. You know what I mean? And then I went back. I was like, no, it's not.
I used to have that.
Sorry, carry on.
I was say I had that when I used to play. We used to go over with mates, and we'd play probably hundreds of hours of Star Wars Battlefront on the original Xbox, and my memories of that. Thinking back to a kid, I felt like I was it was so realistic. I was really in a Star Wars battle. Like it was like indistinguishable from reality. And now I look back and play it, I go,
Yeah.
how did that? When you compare that to the new ones they've done, you're thinking, yeah, I think I definitely got the rose tinted glasses here. But
Yeah,
still great games. But yeah, it's kind of like a struggle to put yourself in it and feel like it's reality now. But
I had the same thing with Red Dead 2. I played through Red Dead 2 and thought, right, I'm going to play back through Red Dead 1, play it on my PS3. And I went back to it because I remember playing it at the time thinking, oh, this Western world is so alive, it's so filled with things, it's brilliant, unbelievable. You go back to it and it is literally empty. You ride through the land on Red Dead on the PS3, there's no one there for ages. Then you start realising, I've remembered it like I'm playing Red Dead 2. There has been a big difference in the population and what's there in the world, But yeah, crazy.
I mean, I'm 46 years old, so my eyes are knackered anyway. I don't know. I think it's it depends on the game because I was playing Burnout 3 Takedown, and that still looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
With the motion. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. Like I say, when it was only because I played the remake, it made it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, I was like, this because I was obviously on PS5 by then, I think, and I went back and thought, this still holds up. This looks great. It plays great. And then the remake came out, and I was like, Jesus. You know what I mean? Because you had the comparison, I was like, whoa, that's. I think as well, not just visually. When you go back in the controls. Sometimes I think the more complex a game is. I can remember playing like Grand Theft Auto as a kid, San Andreas, and I was like, this is amazing. And then I booted up on the PS2 and I was like, how on earth did I ever play this? And I actually was like good at it. I finished it as a kid. And I was like, I can't even do it. I can't even shoot anyone. I don't know what's going on.
If you do Grand Theft 3 or Vice City, obviously they altered it for San Andreas, but because obviously you had a locked camera on them two. Trying to shoot with a locked camera over your head. Yeah, that's mad.
Sometimes that's why I think simple games still like Crash Bandicoot, Rayman. You go back to them and they still play well. It's so simple. I mean, Mario, they still play really well. When they start getting more complex gameplay, it's like because of how far we've come from that. It's like Jesus Christ. Have you played Rayman Origins on the PS3, Fat Zangief?
I probably have.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. The 2D stuff still does. It's
like I say, because it's so simple. It's all hand drawn. Like you know what I mean? Oh, that's cool.
What I'm looking out for at the moment is the Puppeteer. I don't know if you've seen that. That's still beautiful.
Yeah, that's a cracking looking game. Again, it's that bit different, isn't it? They went off piste and done what they wanted to do, and some of them just look so good. Yeah, that Puppeteer does look really good. I think that's what's sought after now, isn't it? So,
I don't think there's many standard games that are like over 40, 50 quid. That's a really expensive game, unless you go for sort of the HD collections and the God of Wars and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think I said in the previous show, I think the last HD collection I bought was a couple of months ago, and that was the Splinter Cell one. I think that was about 30, I think. But I've got a few of them. I was trying to collect them all, but some of them are they're getting a bit pricey now. But
the Sly Cooper trilogy is expensive.
The Sly Cooper one and the Killzone one.
Yeah, ridiculous, crazy.
Yeah, I think the Killzone one that's pushing 100 now.
Yeah,
I'm looking for that. That's pushing about 100, I think. But then I keep thinking to myself, well, when I do buy a PS5 game, if I buy one on release, and very often I'm paying 70, so you sort of think,
true.
So. I
mean, I think one of the most expensive on it at the moment is Godzilla. I mean, it's expensive on the PS4, but it's even more on the PS3.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
I think so, and I think it's rubbish as well.
Do you play as a soldier or as Godzilla?
Godzilla.
It's really slow, framey. I think you have to turn him by using the bumpers on your.
Oh
no.
That's a really old first-person shooter game, isn't it? Where they first brought them over the console, and you had to use the bumpers to spin round, and normally very slowly, which
like a tank simulator.
Yeah, terrible. But right, I think after that little chat, us guys will be carrying on chatting after this show's finished. We're going to carry on for a little while longer, but as far as the show go, you'll probably want to know, like I said, about these guys. They're from our subscribers. chip in monthly to us, which really helps us. Just really does help everything from equipment to, you know, when we go to events to our not subscribers, our payments we have to make monthly for our providers and bits and pieces. So everything just keeps the lights on with us at UCP. And you'll probably hear their names again here as I'm going to read out our subscriber list. So we've got, first of all, we've got Xenox, our friend from Sweden. Thank you very much, my friend. And then we've got the one man George fan club, which is Carlos, who's here with us. Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate that. And then we've got the legendary Firm Returns, who's also here. Thank you, my friend. Then we've got Trestles of New York, long-time supporter of the show. Thank you, Trestles, as always. Then we've got the wonderful Bada Binkster. I won't put on the Italian accent. That's George's job for that. Then we've got the awesome Tingle Tuner, the wonderful Digital Monkey, and as of recording, that's his birthday. Very many happy returns today to you, Digital Monkey. Hope you have a good night. And don't have a headache tomorrow, but I would imagine you will be. Then we've got the Game and Graham. Thank you, my friend. The wonderful Bald Border. And then we've got Gern Bran. We've got Boba Loba. And then we've got George's red-headed stepson, Ginge, who was here with us as well. Thank you, Ginge. And then we've got Harvey Retro, the Lord of Darkness. And we've got the wonderful Emma Sharp. Thank you, Emma. Then we've got Greg. And as always, he's nowhere near Berlin. But he's probably busy at the moment because his game Forever Skies is now released on console. So I would imagine he's a very busy boy at the moment. So we'll have to catch up soon, Greg. Get you on another show and see how the game's going. Then we've got Mumsy. Thank you, Mumsy. Then we've got the awesome RGT fan club. Thank you. We've got Pete Brocklehurst. As always, the hardest man who's ever been on this show. He's the man who juggles breeze blocks for a living. Then we've got Billy Marmite, the wonderful Simon Prike, and then the one you've all been waiting for. It's Fat Zen Geef. Come on, look in my eyes, Simon. Oh, there we go. That is our wonderful subscribers. But yeah, thanks to all those guys. Like I say, it's a wonderful thing. If you're ever interested in that, jump onto our Discord, send us a DM. You can contact us at questions at unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com if you want to know about the tiers or you're interested in that. If not, as we always say, the show will always be free. It's always going to be a free show. It's just that little bit extra, and we always try and give that little bit back as well. But if you'd like to say, if you're interested, jump on our Discord. Great community. I swear all these guys are on. And you can just tell from this show, we love chatting games, anything. And like today, we've talked anything Switch, PS3, even Godzilla that doesn't even play very well. We've even been chatting about that. But like I say, just thanks to everyone who does subscribe. And it just leaves me to say the final thing that we always have to end this show on, and it's don't worry if you're given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.